Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on this executive virtual boardroom. My name is Akinola from the DigiConnect team, and we are so excited to be hosting this platform with our presenting partner, EdgeVerve, an Infosys company. We are going to be having an interesting conversation on the subject of how to transform enterprise operations through data digitization and automation under the theme, the Resilient Enterprise Power Room series. Today's session is going to be powered by a presentation and also a panel discussion. And I'm going to be passing the floor to our host in terms of our moderator today. But before we do that, I would like to give us some few housekeeping just to keep us informed on what we are on. We are on the Zoom platform, and on this platform, there is opportunity to engage directly with the speakers and the program, and we would love you to engage. And for us to achieve this, we would like you to put on your cameras. If you are, anywhere you had that it's possible for you to do that, we would appreciate if you could put up your camera. It would be nice to see your lovely faces and of course to engage directly with you. Also note that everyone is muted on this call, and only the speakers are given the access to unmute themselves. And the reason is to avoid the background noises and of course to achieve decorum in the call. Kindly note as well, if you drop out of the call for any reason, you can join back through the network, the same link. You can use the same link to return back to the call, and we would love to have you join back. And if you would like to ask questions after the panel discussion, we have a Q&A interactive session. We would like to hear from you, get your feedback, get your thoughts, get your contributions. Please use the chat box to post your questions. And also, if you would like to speak and voice out your question as well, you can use the raise your hand button. If you go under your name, you will see the options there. You'll be able to click the button, raise your hand. It will be clear on your name that there is an indicator showing an hand dot that will say you would like to speak, and we will be able to unmute you to speak. Without wasting much time, I would like to pass the floor to Avnish. Avnish is the AVP for Middle East, EMEA, and Americas from EdgeVerve and Infosys company. Hi, Avnish.
Hi, Akin, and thank you, Akin, for passing this on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Resilient Enterprise Virtual Power Room series. This series brings together business leaders to discuss business challenges and how technology solutions can improve business outcomes such as workforce productivity, faster time to value, and business resilience. Today's edition is on transforming enterprise operations through data, digitization, and automation, where we will discuss on how AI and automation can effectively transform and accelerate the value of in the insurance industry, and especially given the current situation on ground, the pandemic, how the direction that the industry is taking using these technology. Before we begin, I would like to play a very short video for you to give you a quick view into what we at EdgeVerve do.
At EdgeVerve, we look at technology through the lens of your business. For us, it's not just about technology that's cutting edge, but about giving you a competitive edge. Technology that can transform your business. While news talks about how AI and automation will change the world tomorrow, we are already turning the news into insights and transforming our clients' business at scale. Every solution we offer is proven to give a digital edge to your business. That's why our AI and automation can enhance profits from the word go. We're not just building innovative and futuristic AI automation products. We are building technology that assists you unlock hidden business value. Because what is the point of creating path-breaking technology if it cannot help you find the hidden gold in your enterprise? EdgeVerve, world leaders in automation, artificial intelligence, business applications. Managing customers' expectations in a highly competitive landscape demands a new paradigm in creation, sale, and servicing of products. This requires enterprises to be agile, hyper-productive, consistent, and scalable. Only EdgeVerve can do what EdgeVerve does. We have a mature product portfolio in both AI and automation, which are recognized by analysts With 360 plus active client relationships, out of which 70% of our clientele in the Global 2000 list, we offer enterprise-grade reliability with focus on scale and security. We have an integrated professional services team to help derive value from products and are uniquely positioned to offer pricing models to drive business value for clients. We pride ourselves in being one of the most innovative enterprises in the space of AI and automation, with over 50 patent assets. EdgeVerve, assisting global leaders unlock hidden business value.
Thank you for watching that video. And now coming back to the day's agenda, our agenda today is in two parts. Our first speaker today is Atul Saneja, who is global head of EdgeVerve, Edge Products and Infosys NIA and his session today will be on amplifying business resilience in insurance with AI and automation. Welcome, Atul, and over to you.
Thanks so much, Avnish, and hello, everyone. Let me just put up my slides. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I hope all of you and your families are keeping safe and that you continue to do so. As I said, this is the Resilient Enterprise Virtual Power Room series that we are meeting for today. And today we are going to be discussing on how insurers can transform their operations through. But before we jump into the main topic, let us just have a quick look at how business resilience is playing a pivotal role in the new normal. Now, economies around the world are battling the disruption caused by the pandemic. And by now it has become amply clear that enterprises with a strong business resilience strategy are emerging as winners. We believe that business resilience is an essential ingredient to meet the global challenges of a crisis. And beyond that, it also helps play an important role in ensuring that the gaps exposed during the crisis are eliminated and enterprises take a second look at how they operate and respond in the long haul. The COVID-19 pandemic has given rise to several strategic and operational challenges across industries. Insurance companies, just like all others, have reacted to this by invoking business continuity measures and crisis management efforts. While recovering from the initial shock, they have responded by taking measures that introduced higher efficiencies and agility in their operations. In the long term, insurers will need to improve their cost structure and lay the groundwork for growth once the economic conditions rebound. For scaling growth in the new normal scenario, enterprises need to be prepared with strategies and execution plans to leverage the bounce back that is expected to happen in the economy. This is critical since the first movers will obviously have an early advantage over the competition. The businesses need to be agile to pivot and address these emerging opportunities. Leveraging technologies like intelligent automation and artificial intelligence will not only help in dealing with the current challenges, but will also set the stage for growth in the post-pandemic new normal. Let's have a look at how technologies like AI and intelligent automation can help deal with a crisis like the current one. While it is amply clear that the technology itself has matured and some of the initial challenges faced by the enterprises in adopting these technologies is a thing of the past. However, the real business value leveraging AI and automation can be achieved by taking a holistic, structured, and a long-term view of the business. It's really about leveraging the technology smartly. And I'm sure most of us have read and seen reports on how COVID-19 has been the biggest accelerator of digital transformation. In fact, business resilience itself is a concept of fine balance between the various phases. An ability to read the situation and being nimble enough to respond with agility. Insurance companies, just like any other business that is associated with data, will benefit immensely with the use of AI technologies to not only digitize the data, but also to draw actionable insights from that data. The pandemic has irreversibly altered the expectations of customers. This can be met to a great extent by making it easier to buy the insurance products and avail the related services with contactless and self-service modes enabled. AI and automation, we believe, can also be used significantly to speed up the processing of claims and can accelerate the underwriting process. With faster service, ample insights from the data, and AI-powered contact centers, customer experience has the potential to reach new heights. Automation is a proven solution for reducing risk, eliminating human errors, and making sure all governance and compliance rules are adhered to. It also has a direct impact on revenue because with better customer engagement, higher renewals, and improved retention, it's a direct impact on the top line. Automating processes which are cost hotspots, increasing compliance, and lowering error rates will also have a direct impact on cost savings, making businesses nimbler and much more efficient. The impact on operations itself is multifold. Automation of repetitive tasks, reduction in errors, higher accuracy through technologies such as computer vision, natural language processing, machine learning, all result in efficient operations. Automation of the extraction and transformation of data and deriving actionable insights from data can help in taking timely actions to mitigate risk and seize the opportunities. And then, of course, there is this whole people angle to leveraging AI and automation. Augmenting employees with the digital workers improves governance and compliance. And obviously, this helps elevate the employee experience as such as well. So clearly, I mean, the benefits from these initiatives, leveraging AI and automation to transform business resilience, to transform your business operations, clearly outweigh the initial pain of adoption itself. When we take a long-term business strategy and look at what are the key pillars around that, there are three key pillars that we really look at in terms of what can a business resilience strategy rely on. First and foremost, it's around transforming business. The second is around empowering employees. And the third is around driving superior customer experience. RPA, if you look at it, has been adopted by insurers in a big way to automate certain repetitive tasks. And it's been used for quite some time. But really, by combining AI with automation, we can create the potential to achieve far greater levels of automation and bring more complex processes within the automation. It's about really making the dream of RPA real, really moving from this task level automation to true end-to-end intelligent automation, what RPA was really designed for. And an AI-powered document processing capabilities, automation, and NLP form a powerful combination that can transform certain areas and make them much more agile and resilient. If you look at some of the journeys in an insurance organization and in any insurance enterprise, if you look at the purchase journey, it is marked by long lead times, high risks, and possibility of errors. Currently, it involves the verification of identity, address, credit info, assets, and discounts, and then followed by validation of data and customer risk profiling. Automation and AI, if it can be applied here to extract, enrich, and correlate, and also to verify and measure risk, it can help vastly reduce errors and omissions and make the entire journey, the purchasing journey, much more simple and agile. Similarly, when we look at the claims process, we know it is a high touch and it can be made simpler right from the claims intake, digitization of claims application and claims documents, identifying the claim purpose, the loss assessment, the auto claims adjudication, fraud detection, and analytics. We believe that AI has a big role to play in this area, especially while dealing with data confined within documents, and hence this entire space around doc AI, which is a very highly emerging field in the insurance segment. Another area where we see significant improvement is the compliance journey across purchase, underwriting, and claims. To summarize what I have said so far, business transformation, employee empowerment, and superior customer experience can all be accelerated by taking insurance simpler and more digitally enabled, decreasing the cost and time for claims processing, accelerating the underwriting process, improving compliance, and gaining speed and flexibility. If you look at some of the real world examples that you can see on the slide here of how large insurance companies have actually gone about using AI and automation to help solve large business problems. One of the large leading insurance companies automated their entire claims and ticket management using a cross-functional bot. Now, we had more than 80 processes being automated in areas like Medicaid, Medicare, and commercial, resulting in savings of more than $6 million. And the bots handle more than 250,000 transactions per month, which was earlier done by more than 170 people. In another instance, AI-led extraction and automation of policy and comparison process helped a large insurance company reduce the rollout time for each product by more than 50% with an increase in testing coverage from approximately 20 to 80%. Now, these are just a sample set of use cases that demonstrate the potential of AI and automation to transform businesses, empower employees, and deliver the super customer experience, helping build a resilient enterprise, resilient business that is ready to tackle any disruption in the future. I would like to thank all of you for your time today. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day ahead and find this roundtable immensely useful. Thank you all. Avnish, back to you.
Thank you, Atul. Our next session is a panel discussion where our esteemed panelists will address questions on transforming enterprise operations through data digitization and automation. My colleague Tara is going to be the moderator for this panel discussion. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat window and we will take them at the end. Over to you, Tara.
Wonderful. Thank you, Avnish. So I have the pleasure to announce our panel for today to continue our talks on digital transformation. And first up is going to be Beth Boucher, SVP and Global CIO at Sirius. We've got Jasdeep Collar. He is our Global Product Head of Infosys NEA. Next up is Kanan Amaresh. He is SVP and Global Head of Infosys Insurance. We have Mano Manachalar, SVP and Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Travelers. And finally, we'll have Sid Gandhi, SVP and Chief Strategy and Enterprise Technology Officer at Securian Financial. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
So the current pandemic has forced many insurers to review their strategy, particularly in regard to the digitization of their businesses. I'm going to start this off with Beth. What are some of your expectations, Beth, or hopes for the industry post-COVID-19?
Thank you. Good morning. Good day, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I appreciate the question, Tara. I think a couple of things. I think, first of all, from a strategic point of view, this year has really introduced literally seismic shifts in the risk landscape. When you think about the disruption and the innovation that has been sparked across all different vertical industries, if you think about a future of touchless transportation, changes in telehealth and in education and online learning. So I think my hope and expectation is beyond just digitizing for resiliency, is that as an industry, we can take the opportunity to look beyond efficiency and optimization to really understand and take advantage of the new products that are emerging in the marketplace. It's really astounding what's in front of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mata, what are your views on this post-COVID?
Hey, good morning, everyone. So from my perspective, really, if you think about what happened in 2021, I think COVID has really given the industry and us both a permission and mandate in some ways, and a reminder that our customers want to work with us differently. Our dealers, our agents and brokers want to, finding new ways to work with us. As well as our own employees are looking for flexible ways to engage with us, as well as in terms of what we're asking them to do. So I think we've got some good momentum around that. Coming out of the year, I think we at Travelers ourselves, we've seen just some several-fold increases in our adoption of our virtual tools, right, which was great. Because our agents and brokers and customers didn't want to receive paper emails and paper mail from us anymore, right? Physical. So they started to interact and sign up with us online that we have been obviously urging to. So we've seen a multi-year acceleration in terms of adoption of the capabilities that we had been building out. And I think hopefully we can continue that momentum and really get the industry to the next level of productivity and efficiency, as well as just new ways of engaging with our stakeholders.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sid, welcome your thoughts on this.
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, everyone, and nice to be here with this esteemed panel. I would echo on many of the points that have been already made. If you look at 2020, it was clearly a year of disruption at so many levels. At one end, we had a global pandemic, economic uncertainty, and all the risk and sadness that brought to the world. But at the other end, we had technology adoption taking place at a pace that was never seen before. Before the pandemic, digital was nice to have in insurance. I would say post-pandemic, it's a must-have. If you look at even things like underwriting, which the insurance industry generally was following a more manual process. Before, it was unpleasant to send somebody to a customer's home for fluids. Now it's clearly unacceptable. So I think the external trends are forcing insurance to transform at a pace that on its own maybe have been at a different pace, but now with this pandemic and the wave of customer experience that is evolving and rapidly changing is accelerating that transformation. And at Securian, we have been on this journey and we have accelerated our digital transformation journey. And we have seen many benefits, including having contactless underwriting. We have seen a higher adoption of our products when we have contactless underwriting. We have introduced AI-enabled chatbots that are allowing customers to interact and reducing then the calls that go to a call center and improving our self-service options. So we are seeing business benefit both in what Atul spoke in resiliency, but I would also say in getting after new customer segments who are looking for a more digital way to interact with insurers.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And that's a great segue, talking more about automation and chatbots. Kanan, how is RPA becoming more pervasive in insurance?
Yeah, again, thanks, Tara, and hello, everyone. Nice to be here. It's my pleasure to talk with this esteemed panel from the insurance firms. So when I look at, I think to start with, I think as I echo all of the other practitioners from the insurance career here, it's been a bit of a digital tsunami, if you will, apart from the health crisis we've had on the COVID. I come from originally in banking, but I've seen that capital markets been ahead of adoption of technology, then banking caught up. But this is a moment where all the insurance firms are taking notice, saying, "Hey, how can we, this is like a democratization of technology, if you will." And there's a big catch-up that's been going on the last 12 months, right? So I think I've spoken to many of our panelists about their business before. I think there is a big uptick on the technology acceleration, specifically coming to RPA, or now fashionably called IPA. As Sid talked about, it's not only on the claim side, but it's also on the client attraction side. How do you actually create intelligent process automation? And in fact, I've been saying in the last few weeks that every person in an insurance firm needs to have a capability to understand what are the customer needs. So which means internal, I think employee engagement, Atul talked about, how do you empower employees internally to be aware that there is some customer knocking on your digital wall. So you got to like really enable, and the enablement comes through this AI and RPA focus or IPA focus, right? So I think, I know Manu will talk about the data piece, but then you need an orchestration engine in terms of how do you bring all of this together first internally and then make sure that it is available to your customers. So I do see underwriting and customer acquisition and customer experience, probably it's a great time to invest more on that rather than just looking at the claims side or the compliance side, simply because it's an amazing opportunity for all the insurance firm to really be ahead of the curve alongside, let's say, retail or retail banking or even payments. All of these vertical has been like adopting technology in a big way. So in my view, I think while most of the firms have been dabbling with the claims and probably regulatory reporting before COVID in terms of adopting this technology, but now I think it is an end-to-end view. Is surely is what everybody will be looking at it.
Yeah, yes, thank you. In becoming more pervasive in insurance with RPA, and also, which domains do you see the biggest impact in the coming years?
I would build on Kannan. I agree with all of your points. I think in addition to claims, we see opportunities or leveraging opportunities for underwriting, which has benefits both for the user experience as well as that agent or broker experience. So that's been another big area for us. And probably all of us, there are opportunities that we are pursuing on the back office to optimize there, as well as applying it to compliance to support the overwhelming compliance requirements. But I would want to also touch on something Atul pointed out in the keynote, that for me, this is just a step one, I think, for all of us, and that the real value is the integration of RPA with other technologies. And I think that's where we can go up the value curve for customer experience and user experience.
Yes, absolutely. Great, thank you. Shifting over a little bit to adoption, a little bit what you touched on, Jasdeep, what are some of the challenges you have observed in adoption of AI-led technologies for documents and processing of those documents?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Tara. Nice to be here, part of this panel. So, see, on the adoption, and specifically about the document area, what we have seen is over time, the complexity of documents have become increasingly complex, and that is because of regulations or the business model changes and others. And document and insurance obviously is pretty heavy document industry. Along with that, the 3 V's of the variance of all of these documents, the volume of these documents, the velocity of these documents is another challenge. And obviously, none of these documents were created so that technology can easily pick it up. So there's a default inherent complexity in these documents because they were created for a different reason altogether. So this is one of the bigger challenges we see, because variety is humongous, and how to deal with this variety, and specifically because industries wants more cost optimization. Now, how do you make sure that all of this technology comes at a very cost-effective way, and that challenges what kind of accuracy needs are required. Okay, that is another challenge of what we are seeing. And then on top of it, there are a lot many myths around what AI can do that also complicates the challenge. So that those are the high level adoption challenges I see when it comes to organization look at AI adoption. Now, if I just take a step further and say, how technology is solving all of this, is very, very interesting technology problem. How to solve, this very complex variety, which we don't even know what kind of variety is going to come. So technically, what we do, technology-wise, we basically unassemble the document, understand the layout, and treat each piece as a different box. For example, you will have labels, images, text boxes, tables, unstructured, structured content. And technically, there are techniques available to deal with this kind of complexity individually. So you disassemble the entire document structure, treat each and every area specifically by different neural models, and so that your accuracy is high. Then you assemble everything back. So you have extremely high level accuracy coming in using vision, using NLP if there's much more unstructured content. So that's how typically you solve it. And as advancement of AI has become much more in last couple of years, all of these has become very, very easily available and usable. And historically, folks have been using OCR. Now we are talking about much different kind of technology than OCR. So dealing with this kind of complexity, dealing with this kind of variance, volume, there's a solution available today. And as Atul was giving example, we deal with all of this when we talk to various insurance companies. And just to picking up on COVID, what we have seen in last couple of months because of COVID, this whole the adoption, the need, everyone want to explore has become much more in last couple of quarters what we have seen.
Excellent. Yes, I've seen you at work, so it is the ambiguity of these documents, and for you to unfold them and then pack them back up is really incredible. So Sid, shifting gears a little bit, when it comes to significant innovation within the insurance sector, such as that's offered by intelligent document processing software, do you find that the innovation comes first and the demand later to match it, or vice versa? I mean, which kind of comes first in that process?
Well, that's a very great question, Tara, and a very tricky one. It's almost like the analogy I would use is, do you get chicken first or egg first? And I don't know the answer. But I think, when we look at broadly the spectrum of innovation curve, we have to look at, where is the experience of the customer going? Where is the efficiency we want to drive going? And then where is the resiliency that we want to build in our organization? And as part of that, we look at, different solutions like the one you mentioned as a way to move forward. We have a tech innovation lab in our organization that allows us to experiment with things. So we are able to, look at new solutions, experiment it, work with our business partners, try a use case or two to see how it evolves. And if it does, then we can scale that up. And I will tell you that flexibility of having that lab and that structure available to us has really expedited our experimentation journey to try new things in AI, automation, and other spaces, including blockchain, actually, to be able to look at new solutions. So that's how I would respond, Tara. I hope that's satisfactory to what you're looking for.
Yeah, great, excellent. Mano, what's your chicken or egg first?
Oh boy, yeah. No, I think I would have to agree with Sid. Right, this is a problem that you can't really tell where the line stops, so to speak, between the inspiration from a business problem perspective versus the emerging technology. I do think that regardless, innovation always has to be rooted and grounded in business challenges and problems. So you have to start with understanding what are your biggest challenges. It could be your existing problems that you're looking to solve differently, or it could be new problems that may be in front of us, right? So it's got to be a close partnership with folks who understand the business problem and the folks who understand the art of the possible, right? And really is trying to bring that together, because I do think that the big whys need to come from the business problems. In terms of definition of the what is a very collaborative process and needs to be done between technologists and the folks who understand the challenges that are out there in the businesses. And as far as the how, that's really where we can bring in some of the functional expertise and art of the possible, right, to continue to propel kind of the current state of the solutions that we may have around the business problem. So I think it's really a both of them together versus one or the other, right? So
yeah, agreed. Fantastic. Yeah, I think absolutely a collaboration of the two. Kanan, anything different from which came first?
Yeah, see, my view is it's a competitive pressure, quite frankly. I do agree with Sid and Mano on the way they're describing the situation, but there is competition out there. You guys know that, right? So Metro Mile, for example, or Lemonade, for example, all these guys are ladder life, across the value chain. I see that competitive pressure is going to put more focus on innovation, and not just on the documentation piece or the intelligent process automation, but essentially end to end. Going back to what Manu said, the how part of it, right? So if you're in that business, how you did before and how you will do in the future is going to be really about technology. So as I said before, the access to technology, as Sid said, you can have your lab, but how fast you can take it to production and how many problems you solve faster will then give you a competitive edge, right? So to that extent, I feel it's a bit of, you got to figure out who are you competing with and how fast can you implement these things, the how piece, going back to what Manu was saying. So I know that this is a topic, by the way, most of the CXO on the board and across the firms, insurance firms, they're worried about the business value chain disruption. So what happens is AI is being applied everywhere, so as well in the intelligent process automation, but then if there is going to be a value chain disruption, you got to really, have a path on the innovation ahead in that sense.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of counter view here. So basically, you got to watch out who you're competing, and you got to jump on the innovation bandwagon much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Steve, with innovation, are you seeing trends towards convergence of AI and RPA specifically in the insurance industry?
Yeah, so thanks, Alex. Good question. See, at the end of the day, as as Atul was mentioning and others alluded, now RPA is pretty much there in most of the insurance enterprises. Become comfortable with the kind of automation. It is a natural progression for the use case complexity. As you start becoming mature and mature, and the use cases become more complex and complex, the need to get much more is where it's starting to come towards AI. It is starting from how do you add intelligence as part of bots, make decision making faster, kind of prediction you do in front end being RPA, and then you start squeezing in AI capability at places. And at other places you will see where it is AI led. Area I talked about was the document digitization, where it is AI led, and if AI is driving it, then it is giving it to RPA to do the completing the value process or the value chain. So I sure believe that both of these it is a natural that both of these technologies will come together and solve the larger business problem as they're meant to be. And on the ground we see extremely good use cases where automation and AI has come together. Atul alluded to that one of the use case where for any large application migration, when you're creating entirely new software to serve the same kind of product, same kind of customers, it is a very, very complex process for a large insurance company. You'll have multi-states, multi-country, multiple regulations you have to take care. How do you test everything? Doing manual way, doing a standard normal way, it is going to take ages to do that. So the techniques like AI and automation coming together and delivering results, what Atul pointed out, that is what I see. Both of these technologies coming together and solving those big problems and giving much more value. It is natural. I see these coming together and solving the larger problem.
Yeah, excellent. And are you seeing commonalities in these use cases across the landscape in the insurance industry? Are you seeing that their complexities are kind of running the same? Are you seeing the same type of use cases that are being presented to you?
No. As I was saying, it is natural that use cases are becoming complex and complex. The moment a practitioner and industry becomes more comfortable with using kind of technology, starts seeing value, the more natural evolution happens. So we are starting to see more complicated use cases and technologies is already there to solve those kind of problems. And as EdgeVerve and Avnish said, and Atul said, so we deal with these, best of the breed automation product and AI product to solve that. So over time, we have seen the kind of complexity which we deal with, the expectation from technology that is becoming, more and more as
yeah, well said. Great, thank you. So back to Beth, where do you see the biggest potential of applying AI in the insurance industry in the coming years?
I think this is pretty exciting. If we look ahead, we're probably, we're within distance of having like more than 1 trillion connected devices out there. When I think about the level of data that provides to us, and more importantly, what that allows us to refine in terms of our precision for risk and risk management, it's compelling. And I think that also at the same time allows us to think very differently about the insurance product. I think we have to think more and more usage-based, more and more custom products, if you will, and more dynamic product development. I think also, though, there are 2 key trends that occur to me that are pretty exciting. The first one is not AI in itself, but actually the power of the convergence of the different technologies. So think AI, think neural, think 3D, right? Think quantum. When you put that powerhouse together, you can really reimagine it, and you can imagine that our product goes from being something that is reactive to preventative, right? And proactive. I think, Atul, you touched on that in the keynote. And I don't think that's far-fetched. So I think those are pretty big game-changing opportunities for our industry. I think the second trend, though, is the dark sort of underbelly that comes with all of this. Is this all has pretty significant implications from a security, from a regulatory, and from a compliance standpoint. So I think those are going to be trends and challenges.
Absolutely. Sid, what trends do you think are going to be the most significant going forward in the insurance industry in the next coming years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I can take this from a few different perspectives. I think, on the customer side, you've got a massive shift happening of wealth transfer from baby boomers to millennials, who are now also the largest part of the US workforce, as well as the generation that's even coming before millennials that is starting to drive a lot of the customer behavior. So I think we are seeing that trend broadly in the customer perspective. I think on the technology, I think I think it's no secret to all of us. AI is what we believe, what the world believes is to be the next revolutionary technology that's going to dramatically change in terms of how we live, how we operate, how we conduct our business. I think there are early signs of success already of that in the insurance industry. I think I and some other panelists have already spoken of examples of that. So we're closely watching that. And the third thing I would say is blockchain. I think it's still at the early stages here in terms of evolution, but I believe if that were to take off, I think it will dramatically alter the financial services landscape. So those would be the high-level perspectives I could provide. Obviously, there are a whole bunch of other things, but I would say that's what is going through my mind as I respond to you, Tara.
Yeah, absolutely. Mano, how do you see insurance being disrupted by AI and automation?
So certainly, I think, I was just looking at some numbers here for 2020, the numbers around the venture capital funding that went into the insurtechs, right? I think if you've kept track of it, that number has just been at a steep climb, right? If you think about the change between 2019 and 2020, I believe in property and casualty was 36% increase. So the disruption is coming. I know just like every other industry, I know the industry in our case has been a little behind, but certainly it's coming, and it's coming in, with all of the things that we're talking about, right, from a technology trends perspective. So I think we as carriers and wherever we fall into the value chain, we just got to be ready to be able to leverage our scale, our learnings, our understanding of the market and the customers. Unlike what the startups and insurtechs bring, which is typically a technology-led inspiration, and they're trying to solve a narrow problem, right? To be able to kind of leverage that and strength and be able to understand how we can apply, and certainly the trends that we've already talked about, whether it's emerging sources of AI through telematics or application of machine learning technologies. Or even computing from a cloud scale perspective, right? I mean, a lot of those things are coming together. I think it was interesting a couple of years ago when I joined the organization here at Travelers, coming out of a big industrial giant like GE. It's like, oh my God, here's a business that the core product itself is bits and bytes, right? It's really, there's no physical tangible product. So, given enough compute resources and enough tie into the customer experience pieces, it is really a business that's digitizable, right? But it's so I think, of course, that we could be decades away from it. Maybe if Elon Musk has his way, it'll happen sooner than later, as part of buying a car experience at least, right? But certainly, the opportunity is all around us. We got to be able to leverage it, leverage our scale.
Yeah. What are some of the key innovations you want to call out from your experience that has helped transform enterprise operations at Travelers?
Yeah, I think like many others have mentioned, we have expanded the use of analytics and data beyond our just core, what I would say, risk selection, pricing, segmentation, reserving type applications, and really embracing deep machine learning technologies to be able to get newer insights from imagery and or unstructured content, like things around language. So really, if you think about a couple of things that we've at least shared externally, our wildfire defender model, that's a deep learning neural network model that understands the extent of a damage to properties in West Coast, right? The day after maybe a wildfire swept through those. And there have been a number of occasions where we have been able to notify the customers and have mailed them a check before they even knew their house burned down, because of course, because of the fire, they could not go back to their houses, right, to even understand the damage that had happened. So again, that's a model that I recall in 2019, we actually ended up winning the overall Gartner Innovation Award for. Last year, we submitted another model, which is a more of underwriting model that understands and isolates underwriting variables from imagery, like things like roof shape, roof condition. That is also was received well. I know we ended up not winning the overall category, but at least we were respectively in the final round of voting with the Gartner audience. But anyway, I think those two are great examples, and of course we have many extensions of those models that are being as well as frictionless underwriting.
Yeah, excellent. So talking about this, efficiencies and agility, Jasdeep, how do you tackle claims process inefficiencies with AI-led automation?
So, Tara, instead of claims, maybe I'll generalize, because as panel said, claims is just the one area. And you have all the value chains, starting from front office, mid office, back office, and multiple processes out there where AI can get applied. So what I believe is wherever automation, obviously, I think most of the enterprises have done. If they're not done, obviously that's the first choice, to automate what you can. Now from AI angle, I think wherever you have decision making based on data, you can take. It may be in claims, for example, your fraud detection at FNO level, or as you move forward in your claim cycle, improvising your fraud detection based on new data coming in, or your document digitization, or how do you allocate agents based on the skill. The AI algorithms based mapping what kind of customer is coming, what is that profile, what is skill set of agent. Now entire AI mapping. So those are the couple of areas where it is very direct fit. And if you look at the back office for policy administration, or we look at document for underwriting, I think all over the place, wherever you have high documents or you have decision making, which based on data you can learn and improvise, is applicability. See, another area which I see, which maybe I will enterprises who are sitting on humongous data, and because now AI is getting in, you need data for making all of the machine learning models, and you're sitting on millions and millions of pages of data which is not digitized yet. Now, even though they are not part of your core system, it is archived, but digitizing the data and using it to create your AI model is very, very important, right? So that is another set where large insurance companies or whoever is sitting on large amount of documents, images, which contains extremely insightful information inside that, is another area to look at deeply, because you have data, and obviously everyone knows, more data we have, better models you have, and applying those models in actual real life will give you much better results. So this is how I see, overall, to summarize, wherever you have high document volume, wherever you have, decision making, which would be learned and improvised, and wherever you have humongous data need, for digitizing to make any kind of ML models for training, are those key areas I think where AI is directly applicable.
100%, and I think that it just gives you a numerous amount of opportunities there. So thank you, Jasdeep. In contrast of RPA and now IPA, can you kind of go through and compare and contrast what you see in insurance compared to other industries like banking and retail and utilities?
Yeah, absolutely, Tara. So I think just to go back to what Manu was saying, insurtechs are racing with more money, but I think Google is already there on the B2B business. If you guys have seen the Google Key Insurance with Lloyd's of London, they're already operating as a vehicle with Brit Insurance in terms of how do they actually bring the technology and data and support them. My own view is I think you want to see more focus, whether Elon Musk runs out his own insurance firm or not, but I think Apple is the next one to watch. Personally, I feel, in terms of personal lines, be it auto and life, they have a lot more control with the device we all use. So I personally think that they might be a big competitor, and knowing the retail model well, how to sell to the retail customers. So I think the direct to consumer channel is something to watch out. And I think coming back to Tara, your question is exactly what I've been predicting, that insurance in general, especially largely in the US, is kind of advisor oriented for life and health, and of course, agency oriented for P&C. This is more so for individuals. And then if you look at B2B, there's a little bit of a different way of doing business. The individual places where the maximum pressure point is going to be, as I already drawn the examples with banking, retail, payments. There's going to be more and more pressure because one, access to technology is no longer a problem, right? And insurance business has always been data oriented, risk oriented, very good in understanding all of that, but you got to move with the speed in which you got to embrace these new technologies. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on direct to consumer business. As I speak to many of the firms in the US, I find that be it P&C or life and health, they are definitely looking at direct to consumer business as the channel. I think in the P&C already there are a couple of big players who are doing very well in the direct to consumer segment. So you will see that taking place. And it's also about, it's not just about the price comparison or underwriting doing it well, but like the end-to-end experience. And everybody is also looking at how to engage the clients. So if you look at life and health, more and more, applications to keep the client engaged and provide some, let's say, Vitality is a great platform from South Africa, which has been adopted by many life and health insurers. So you will see that engagement is important. So it's not like a one-time you underwrite and then you go off and then wait for the claim to come. So you got to have these big engagements going. So to that extent, the model like banking or payments is important to look at and kind of embrace that, considering this is also a regulated industry. And as I said, the direct to consumer for P&C business is going to be a lot more pressure with the technology and with the kind of money that is going to come in. But on the B2B side, I'm still skeptical. Let's see how technology is being adopted faster. At the end of the day, B2B business is also about the balance sheet, what you have as an entity, how much you can withhold the risk, as well as how do you do your reinsurance business. It's a little bit trickier, but with the overall scheme of things, I think it's a good time to look at retail. Let's say, everything is now gone digital. So anything on e-commerce or digital retailing is a good example to look at. And the second is, of course, the whole banking as an example to look at in terms of B2B. And I also see, I think, again, taking a leaf out of what Manu, you were saying, there's a lot more people coming into insurance the last 4 or 5 years, from other industry as well at an exec level. So that is also bringing more relevance and cross-pollinating the ideas from the other places. And this is one thing which we also do, because Infosys caters to almost all the verticals across Fortune 2000 clients. So we bring that expertise as well to provide a cross-vertical view, if you will, Tara.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to open up to the chat and see if there's some additional questions that we can ask our panel. and I will facilitate those. Don't be shy.
There's a question around public-private partnership, Tara. So yeah, I don't know whether Sid, Manu, you guys want to take a shot at it? The pandemic risk exactly fit in the traditional insurance model due to its volatility and spread. How can digitalization and AI models help in public-private partnership? One thing I can.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Manu.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say one thing. I've seen this happen. It's a public knowledge. Aon actually started something around back to work in New York and Chicago. That's a good way to look at public-private partnership. I know it doesn't solve the pure insurance business, but basically to look at how do we bring all the like-minded corporates to come together and set up some kind of a back-to-work model, both in Chicago and New York. I thought that's a good example of public-private partnership. But yeah, go ahead, man.
No, I was going to say, I mean, a lot of the things that we have talked about, right? Of course, you know, from a business perspective, we live and work and help the communities that we're all part of in more than one ways, right? Not through our just core product offerings, but also just in general, you know, helping communities that we operate in. So I think, you know, certainly that's there. I think also the fact that we as businesses, in some ways, that, you know, we pride ourselves in being able to predict the future in some ways, missed the whole pandemic, you know, possibility, right? So I think, you know, we've got to be better, I guess, consumers of information ourselves and plan for the long term and not live in the present bias. I think that's certainly a discussion we've been having in terms of what would this look like, and, you know, what are other things that could have caused interruption, right, from a business perspective. I don't know if others have other ideas we can talk through.
Yeah.
Great. So the next question is for Beth. Beth, what are insurance companies expecting from AI and automation?
I think they're looking for, you know, better customer experience, a better user experience, more efficient operation, resiliency. I think it's very much in line with the themes that we talked throughout the panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Which solution would you say has helped you stay resilient in the last year?
For us, it's really been about digitizing the user experience and particularly, you know, the use of our enterprise collaboration platforms. Not only one, but we had two, which turned out to be critically important in the first week, as some providers struggled to meet the surge in demand. So I think that's been the most critical thing for us, which caught us by surprise. We didn't realize we were as resilient as we were. And that the workforce was as ready to adopt it as they were.
Yeah, absolutely. This is for anyone that would like from the panel to answer. Can you please elaborate more on how to approach form variation and document complexity when considering RPA AI solutions to increase STP, straight through processing?
Yeah, so I'll pick it up. So I partly covered that. So how you deal with the variation is, so there's a technique called dynamic extraction. It means you actually don't train the exact form or exact name value pair extraction or layout. You don't train on that. You configure the system and say, you know, in this kind of form or this kind of document, these are the kind of values I'm expecting to extract, and they can be anywhere. They can be part of a header, they can be part of footer, they could be part of label, they could be part of table or anywhere. Right? So dynamic extraction techniques is one way to handle variation, so that, you know, and today we deal with this variation. We have implemented the software at multiple places where variation, some places we are talking about some 6,000, some 30,000, 7,000 variation of the same document. And it becomes very, very complex if you have to keep on training for each and everything. That is one thing. Second is, even configuring for these variation becomes very challenging if you are looking at that kind of scale. So what we do, we make sure that by default, you take care of all these variations in the software itself. In the case of any new variation has to be handled, it is auto onboarding of that variation we allow. And if there's a 80% match, 90% match, and only 10-20% variation we are not able to handle, by click to fill or very easy way of configuring, that feedback gets into the system so that variation can get handled. And today, we have customers who are doing this themselves. So we enable them. We did maybe, let us say, for 6,000 kind of variation, we did 100 variation, and then we trained them, and they are picking up that and running themselves. Because software to work automatically, this kind of capabilities are required. So this is how we deal with variation. And as I was saying, variation is one of the key differentiator, which at least in this industry, because everywhere you have variation and a lot of variation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Fantastic, Jasdeep. This one is for Manu. How important is data analytics, and what is your organization doing with the data?
So first of all, we live and breathe data at Travelers. We pride ourselves in our ability to be able to, of course, use it to manage risk across our business. But on a serious note, of course, we've got data as a key part of the ingredient, of course, for everything that we do. And a lot of our emphasis, I would say, since I've been with the firm over the last almost 2 years now, one of the biggest area of investment has been data, right? And it takes many different shapes and forms. Primary is really productizing our data and being able to free that data from transactional systems. So we've got a roadmap laid out that is both developing new product and measuring adoption of those products across all parts of our processes. Second, I would say really is just real-time availability, real-time integration of data. So we're trying to get away from tens of thousands of batch jobs and more event-based architecture. The third, I would say really just leveraging cloud architecture. So that's, capabilities that we maybe never had before, or leveraging the scale. The next, I guess, fourth element in my mind would be really just improving our overall data culture. So it's accessibility of data, engaging the broader audience. We have rolled out a very successfully what we call our data knowledge map training program last year. Over 8,000 employees went through it, and our goal is to have most of the company actually go through it by end of the 2021. And that's really just raising the awareness across individuals in all parts and all parts of the organization to say how critical data is, data they touch or create, maybe with us for decades, and how critical quality of that data is to our overall business. And I think last element really would be just ensuring that we're accelerating our processes for third-party data experimentation and adoption, because as you well know, a lot of our new sources of insights are going to come from third-party data sources. So we got a lot of focus on that, in 2021, and we'll continue to invest more into that going forward.
Awesome, awesome. This one's for Sid. Sid, what is your opinion about using intelligent document processing software in insurance?
I don't know the specifics of that thing you're referring. I think if that refers to the broad RPA, I think those comments have been already well made. Now, I just want to echo back to what Manu was saying in terms of the importance of data and analytics in the insurance industry. I think being in the insurance space, we've been in the business for over 100 years. Most insurance companies have been around a long time. And, we make a case that we've already been a data-driven business. But now with the power of analytics, cloud, AI, and other supporting technologies, there's a way to harness this data in a way that was not even unimaginable before. And so how do we build those prediction machines earlier in our underwriting process? And how does that provide a better experience to our customers is a huge effort that we are undergoing. Manu already touched on the third party that I think is becoming increasingly important. I think, one of your panelists already said 80% of the data is unstructured, and the world is producing more data every year than it did in the previous 50, 100 years. There are all these kind of stats out there. So how do we as insurers become smart in accessing, cleaning, sourcing, and storing, and then retrieving those data on a timely basis? And how do we make intelligent decisions because of that? I think is a new journey on data analytics side that I'm super excited about.
Excellent, thank you. Great addition. And finally, Kannan, which types of developments in AI and automation are the most interesting? Where do you see maximum ROI?
Well, the most interesting would be on the underwriting for sure. I think Beth talked about the confluence of technology that's happening, and today, while I completely agree with Sid and Mono that insurance business has been a data-driven organization, but how you understand the risk and how do you price it today is the most interesting one. And to that extent, the most interesting place for AI automation is really on the front end of customer experience or underwriting or customer acquisition, but not necessarily the ROI. I think the ROI, because it's legacy business, most of them have been in this business for long enough. So you're looking at a quick ROI from, let's say, claims operation or any operations internally to sort of say, hey, how can I get this out in terms of, into production? So the ROI short term would be definitely on the, insurance operation and claims. But overall, if I look at next 3 to 5 years, if I have to predict, it'll be on the front end of things in terms of customer acquisition, risk underwriting, and possibly even the amount of technology that payments are using today. Anomaly detection is one, like fraud and claims is another place, right? You can just deduct so fast. The payments technology has evolved so much in terms of risk prevention. So whereas here you can use that technologies to do risk underwriting. So my view is immediate ROI on the operations claims, overall on the front end of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I have another one for Mono. What types of metrics, KPIs, is Travelers capturing to measure the value that AI, IPA is actually delivering across your value chain?
Yeah, it really depends on kind of the stage of the capability and maturity of the capability, right? Sometimes early on, we use a lot of driving metrics around adoption. And to what extent have we been able to roll out those capabilities across the organization? So we measure that. Over the long haul, from a business outcome perspective, you want to be able to measure the impact you're making on the business, right? So certainly in the areas that we are more mature, we would definitely measure the bottom line benefit. So if you can imagine areas of claim and some of the areas of straight through processing, right? We're measuring what that looks like from a cycle time reduction, collection of different things. And we are also striving to understand kind of the forward-looking value of certain projects that we do ahead of time. So we most of the time we have to guess that. We've also now attempted to actually, since we're a data-driven organization, we're also trying to use data analytics to even be able to predict the value of those things. And that's really just looking at maybe even past several years and doing loss cost analysis on what we got right, wrong, and where we can, if we improve things, that we can impact our, of course, loss costs, right? So I think it's a combination of a lot of different things, and it just really depends on maturity of the capability. If it's early stages, we don't measure the actual outcomes, but late stages we definitely measure, and it switches.
Excellent, thank you. So I think this will be our last question. It is asked to everyone, and feel free to chime in. Our experience with RPA is that it's limited in application to less complex, repeatable manual processes. May require more programming to do more advanced. Do you see RPA capabilities truly advancing with ability to handle more complex cases, integrating machine learning? Are there some use cases that you can share?
Yeah, so let me take a first shot at that, Tara.
Great.
So, I think, let me talk about our product Assist Edge, which we have been talking about, and this whole intelligent automation, intelligent bots for quite some time. So we have native capability of AI capability, ML capability, document digitization capability I talked about. So we have all those capability natively available with our RPA. The challenge which I see is adoption of that. So all this has been around, but then we don't see too many use cases enterprises adopting for that. Okay, document digitization is simple. Now let me talk about other use case. For example, in your RPA, wherever you have manual, you have bot stopping, and you have manual process coming in. Now you have the data at what processes for what kind of data flow is going manual. That it is a good learning data for ML engine to pick it up and start predicting things. So use cases like those are very, are available for us to use. So I believe technology is there. At least surely we have that technology natively with our RPA to do something like that. And as use cases become more complex and complex, all those things logically comes handy. So we are actually waiting for enterprises to pick up and adopt. Technology has been there. We have thought papers around that, position papers around that. How these intelligent automation and natively AI capability for either ML or for NLP or for document digitization, how we could utilize.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I'll probably
Great.
let the practitioner speak, Sarah, maybe Beth or Mano.
Beth, you want to tackle it?
Any final thoughts? Yes, so we can start to wrap up. I'd love to hear, someone from our panel, some final thoughts on, where they're seeing the future headed. We've had some great discussions here and kind of button it all up. Some final thoughts, Beth, Mano, Sid?
Sure, I could say a couple of things, right? I mean, I think a lot of things we've talked about as far as forward looking. We look up, of course, the overall value chain and understanding, what's happening in the distribution space and some of the forces that are at work there in terms of consolidation, disintermediation. So a lot of action there. I'm sure that there will be impact from what even the auto companies are doing, right? We laughed about Tesla and GM, so I think certainly some things that are on our radar, right, from that perspective. Then of course you look at the rest of the value chain around just underwriting, submissions and whatnot, and so I think huge opportunity there, as we've been talking about there, in terms of just elevating our game there and driving better insights and driving a more pleasant experience for our customers as well as our brokers and agents. So I think that's really where I would leave it. Then others, you can add maybe more.
I think it's well said, Mano. I would agree. I would leave it there.
Yeah, I would agree. Well said, Manu. Well said, panelists. I would say the only other point I might add, I know we talked briefly about insurtech, fintech, and I think the industry is ripe for disruption. And the thing that is going to evolve is what role do they play in disruption? There is a well-known angle around customer engagement, but do they also want to take underwriting risk? Do they want to have a balance sheet? And that's something to watch out for, because if they can do all of that and are able to absorb through their balance sheet and build actually balance sheet and reserves, I think that changes the dynamics in terms of how they become even more competitive. So that would be an additional factor I would leave this group with that.
I can only add one point, more like a ponder, right? As I look at the G20 economy, more and more. So if you look at the insurance business, it's all about risk. So risk coverage for the G20, let's say, will be the top of the pyramid of the global economy. And more pressure is going to come from technology companies on one side, but also from growing economies, be it China, India, and others. So I know many of you guys have already a big focus on Europe and APAC, but I will see that there's going to be a little bit of that business and technology trying to go hand in hand, and there's going to be some good fun to watch in the few years as I see it.
Wonderful. Well, Beth, Jasdeep, Sid, Mano, and Kanan, it has been a pleasure driving this, and I will throw it back to Avnish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara, and thanks to all of our speakers today for bringing out some of the key aspects of digital transformation and a wonderful conversation on how in insurance industry AI and automation can be adopted. And thank you for everybody for joining. You have been a very wonderful audience, and there were some very pertinent questions that came up. We hope you liked this session. Please feel free to reach out to us at edgeverve.com for any further questions, or if you would like us to have a one-on-one meeting with you, with one of our experts. Looking forward to meet you all again soon. Over to you, Akin.
Thank you very much, Avnish, and thanks to all our panelists for the insightful interaction. Thanks for covering as many questions that we have on the chat box. And also to all the attendees, thanks for taking the time and staying to this time. I would like to say a big thank you to the team from DigiConnect to EdgeVerve who has worked to put all of this together. Thanks so much for your support. And we look forward to future opportunities to engage you and have you in future events. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.